Why does the narcissist switch from white to black so quickly? The world has become a faster place. Cars have steadily increased in speed, trains thunder along the tracks, and aeroplanes race through the sky. A jet fighter is particularly quick, as it breaks the sound barrier. An email can carry a message from one side of the planet to the other in an instant, and a television broadcast can encircle the globe in seconds. Whilst the world has become progressively faster, speed has always lurked somewhere. Few things have been faster than the law of succession of the monarchy. The king is dead, long live the king, encapsulates that moment when James I of England died in 1625, then his son Charles I became the king within a dying breath. The striking of a flint stone that caused a spark to ignite and thus fire to come forth was a further example of how speed has always been evident. Notwithstanding these historical examples and the onset of technological advances, which has made the world become a faster and faster place, few things can be said to be as quick as the time it takes a narcissist to shift from viewing you in a white or favourable light to painting you black and regarding you in an unfavourable, treacherous, hated way. From idealization to devaluation, from worship to hatred, from cherishing you to chastising you. This dramatic shift in attitude happens with such speed that it may leave you dizzy and bewildered. One day everything is fine. There are smiles and kind words, affectionate glances and warmth, but without any warning, without any indication or hint of what is to come. The position alters, and does so suddenly and drastically. Gone is the affection, and in its place that awful stony silence, which has you repeatedly asking, "What is the matter? Tell me what is wrong. Have I done something to upset you?" We may have just been laughing together at something, and then, before the echo of that laugh has faded away, you are defending yourself as we launch a tirade at you. You are taken by surprise at the speed by which we have attacked you. You are so confused and stunned that you cannot even speak. You may have even paid us a compliment as we sat having dinner with friends, and you turn to look at us to find we are glaring at you, or you are on the receiving end of a scathing put-down. The shift from happiness to sadness, pleasure to nastiness, and joy to despair is dramatic as it is swift. How many times have you remarked, "It is like somebody flicked a switch"? A light turns on and off in an instant. We turn on and off you in an instant. This change is often utterly bewildering and causes considerable consternation and concern for you. You always ask, what is wrong? But of course, that ends up just annoying us and irritating us all the more, because we want to provoke you further, and we adopt the approach that you should know what is wrong. You should be second-guessing us. If you loved us as you say you do, you would know what was wrong, wouldn't you? How many times have you heard that line hurled at you before a plate or glass follows? But why do we change so rapidly, and seemingly without reason? I have explained on many occasions, and no doubt will continue to do so, that people fail to grasp and understand the dynamic of your relationship with our kind because you look at that dynamic through your worldview. You apply the logic and rules and reason of your approach to life to a situation which follows our rules because we created the world in which both you and I now reside. We dragged you into this false reality when we seduced you. It is both fairy tale and nightmare, where nothing seems to make sense, but if you looked at it through our eyes, it would make perfect sense. So, let me avail you of some understanding from our point of view as to why this change happens, why it is so quick, and why it hurts so much. We may be laughing together, but I don't think that you laughed as loud, as heartily as you should have done at my witty remark or entertaining quip. Pathetic, yes, by your standards, but not by ours. Your role is to pump out that positive fuel, and you have not done so to the expected level by not laughing loud enough. I regard this as a challenge. It is critical, and, as a consequence of this, whilst you have laughed and provided me with some fuel, by not laughing as heartily as you ought to have done, I regard that as a challenge, and therefore it causes me to lash out at you in order to drain more fuel from you but primarily to assert my superiority once again. We may be sitting peacefully in a living room, music playing in the background, and enjoying a lazy Sunday reading the newspapers, and then the paper is hurled to the floor, and we are attacking you verbally. In that supposedly pleasant silence, we remembered a remark you made 2 weeks ago, which was critical of something we had said. We of course berated you at the time, but that does not matter. As you know, we love to bring up the past. The recollection of the wounding that you caused with that remark burns, and once again, we react to it by our fury igniting, and therefore, when we recall an incident which has caused wounding, it is as if the wounding is happening again. It ignites our fury, and we must lash out at you in order to draw fuel from you. Accordingly, that is why, in certain instances, there is a devaluation, moving from a pleasant situation to an unpleasant one, and you have absolutely no idea what has caused it. You may have just complimented our shirt and trousers, but you forgot the shoes. We then forget the compliments that you have just provided to us, and solely focus on the compliments you should have given us. We are elevated and superior to you, and you should recognise this at all times. Well, you would if you loved us, wouldn't you? Your failure to compliment our shoes, even though it was amongst complimenting us about other clothing, challenges us, and again, we have to respond in a way to attack you to assert our superiority. Of course, what makes it worse for you is that we will often not tell you what the basis of the ignited fury, or of course the need to put down your challenge, is. Instead, we go on the attack by criticising you in return, in order to make us feel better. We may not say you failed to compliment us about our new shoes, and instead remark about how we do not like your hair, the way you have styled it, which makes the situation all the more bewildering for you, because only yesterday we said how lovely your hair looked. Of course, we are creatures of expedience, and therefore, what was good yesterday becomes bad today. We will shift and alter because of the instinctive response of our narcissism in order to defend ourselves. The sudden change is an instinctive response. It is a self-defense mechanism, and it must happen with speed in order to ensure that the protection afforded by the narcissism is immediate, that we cannot allow the creature that lurks within to drag us down into the abyss, that it is sent packing by the provision of delicious and potent fuel that flows from you as a consequence of our attack on you. Such a sudden change allows us to gather negative fuel from your angry defence, your tearful replies, and your sobbing apologies. It allows us to keep you anxious, on edge and confused, which then enables us, through shifting sands, to maintain control. This change makes no sense to you, even if we explained why we felt furious at the time. But when you consider it through the narcissist lens, it certainly makes sense in our world. This change of heart happens because somehow you either challenge us or you wound us, and nothing is faster than the need to assert our superiority or the igniting of a narcissist's fury, as no doubt you know all too well.